Mama said, don't give up.
Welcome to Grit and Grow with Megan and Sarah. Today's episode is fear of success. Do you suffer from this?
No more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have high hopes for a living. Shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't ever die, but I always had a vision. Always had...
No idea how excited I am to sit down and upload content and write content and upload content and schedule out content. I'm so excited to do that. Like to post blog posts to Phoenix, to Despite, and to Grit and Grow, and hopefully get other girlfriend back up and grow it and going so that Make Fit Mama happens and we can get that website going as well. Because like I imagine it as successful. But I seem to always find a reason why I can't. And at the same time, I want to defend those reasons because they're valid. Because it's valid that I have really crappy internet. It's completely valid. Like I called Safeway to get a quote on these cakes for this going away party that's coming up on Sunday. And the first thing this very young man said to me, he's like, ma'am, I don't know. It must be your connection, but I can hardly hear you. And I was like, you're right. I'm on Wi-Fi calling, so I apologize. He's like, oh. Okay, well, what was it again? And so I repeated the whole thing again. And so like, while the Wi-Fi being slow and being horrible is a real thing, and just like, I can't drive to the Wi-Fi where it's better because tire on my car is down right now. It's like, so these are very real things stopping me from being successful. I still feel like as soon as these things are gone, I will find something next. Or the world is going to throw something at me next. Because what's the next diagnosis that's coming?
So why do you feel like you have this fear of success? By the way,
I don't know what it feels like.
We are recording.
Because at this point, I don't know if my procrastination is a byproduct of fear of success. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I self-sabotaging?
So the fear of success, I'm going to give you the definition, and that's why I want you to think about this. The fear of success, also known as success anxiety or success phobia, is the fear of achieving something new and the consequences that may come with it. And it's often about anticipating how others will react to your success and whether it will come at the cost of something else you value. Does any of that ring true for you?
I don't know. Slow it down. Let's read like one sentence at a time. Because really my brain shuts down and I like get into panic mode.
So, for our listeners, I came in the middle of this one because we always get in these conversations before we record a podcast. And then we're going, well, we should have recorded that. So I started recording. For our listeners, we were talking about some stuff we're doing on the back end for our business. And like I was talking about where my thoughts were as far as the future and stuff. And immediately Miss Sarah said, have we done a podcast on fear of success? I said, no, we did fear of failure. She goes, we should do that because that's coming up for me right now. So the reason it's coming up, we're trying to figure out. But procrastination is part of that, which is what our next podcast was going to be, was on procrastination. But why when hearing that definition, Sarah, does any of that part of that definition kind of hit more, or do you feel more towards part of that definition versus others?
Well, I definitely connect with the self-sabotaging part of it. I definitely have a big fear of others sabotaging it, because I have gotten to a point where I've been successful before. And the craziness that came up in my life and in some of my relationships in an attempt to sabotage. Like I had people disconnect my internet during client calls. I had a family member start messaging my Facebook friends just to tell them that I was a fraud when I was launching a brand new business. And literally my launch platform is, I'm learning this new thing from this new company. Would you like to learn with me? And my family member went and told everyone that I was a fraud, and it was the most embarrassing thing. And so like trying to figure out what it is that I connect with when it comes to fear of success, because it's so many things. It's, I'm comfortable here. I'm used to this. I always feel broke. I always feel missing something, lacking something, needing something. Poor me. I always feel that. I have no idea what success would feel like.
Okay, so what comes up for you when I start talking about, see, and I'm a planner. I'm the opposite. I like to plan. So I like to plan for the thought of the possibility. So we were talking about the back end, adding employees and all that stuff, and you're like, no, 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 no. So I'm a planner. You're you're in a place of fear because what happens when you do succeed? What happens? What 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 is it that scares you about the idea of success?
Because then the failure is bigger. If I have more success, the failure is bigger. Yeah, we were talking about forgiving ourselves earlier, and like losing my job as an optician, or choosing to lose my job as an optician hit me really, really hard. I loved that job. I love selling glasses. I love connecting people to glasses that they love and that can help them see. And so losing that job hit me really hard. And I know how much I want to serve women who want to be successful with our online businesses. And if I build that up and somehow lose that, that will feel like such a more personal blow, because this is our business. This is my business. This isn't someone else's business I'm employed for. This is us. And so at least if we're still trying, I can feel like we haven't failed. I can feel like we're still trying. Like, what if we build it and then it fails? Oh,
But okay, so let's look at that. Let's look at that. What if we build it and we have success, and then something shifts, the economy, what people are looking for, however you want to think about it, right? And we start losing clients, and we start losing, and it starts to feel like it's failing. What happens?
we could lose our houses.
Okay, but can we also shift and create something new, learn something new, create something new, and change that from a failure to a shift?
Well, we could.
Can we reframe that fear of potential success, meaning we could also potentially lose on a bigger level, to a potential success means that we most likely at some point will have to shift what we're doing and create something new? But can we do that? Are we able to do that?
And that's the thing, like, I don't know. I don't think I'm able to do it because I feel like I've never done it. And you've reminded me so many times. You're like, that's so not true. And you're right. It's so not true. I've made big numbers in a day or in a weekend or whatever. I've done it before. And for some reason, I just like, I feel like it's so far away. And at the same time, I can almost touch the lifestyle that I would create if I had the business model in my dreams, which is, spending about 20 hours a week connecting live with ladies that I'm help building their business. Live as in live question and answers, coaching calls. That's how I want to do it. And I know I can do 20 hours a week from anywhere, whether that's going to visit my daughter who's moved to LA, or taking kids on vacation, or traveling to Alaska like I wanted to do, or going to faith over fear at the end of the month. Like, I want to have that lifestyle. And at the same time, I'm letting everything stop me. And it's like one of those, I'm like, I want it. And what do I have to do to get it?
Okay. So one thing
I know.
is, and it's the hardest part. It's the easiest part to say, and it's the absolute hardest part to do. You ready for it? Let go of the fear. The fear will create the outcome. So if you're fearing,
I'm focused on the fear.
I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna succeed, but that's gonna create a failure, then what's gonna happen is we're gonna succeed, and then we're gonna start failing. And when you see that happening, you're just gonna go, that's it, I can't do it, and you're gonna walk away, and you're gonna feel like a complete failure. Versus letting go of the fear, learning how to cope with the fear and understand the fear, and understand that that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen, but we have to move forward, and we have to continue to grow and continue to create what we want in order to achieve it. And if at that point things start changing, and we have to change. We have to change with society. So the one thing, I'm sure you remember, we're not that far apart in age. Okay, so you remember Madonna and Cyndi Lauper, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yes.
Madonna's still around, right? You don't hear much about Cyndi Lauper, right? There's a reason for that, and it's Madonna changes and updates her music and updates how she presents herself at all times. She shifts because she wants to stay valid in the people's eyes, right? She wants to stay out there in not as much anymore, but for many more years past Cyndi Lauper, right? Cyndi Lauper had one way of feeling, one way of being, and I loved her music, but Cyndi Lauper really had more of one way of being, doing things. And so when that kind of started shifting away from that kind of music, what happened to her? She wasn't as popular. Madonna stayed popular because she shifted. So the one thing with fear is, like, when you have fears of success like this, what happens is you keep yourself from shifting what you can do. Like, you and I have been working really hard. We have two different kinds of businesses, and now we're shifting into creating one business with both aspects. That's a shift.
Yep.
And it's going to take a little time, and we're going to get it, but that's a shift. Now in 10 years, we need to shift because of the way society is at that moment, and we need to shift again. We're working together to create what we want. So we always have that end goal in mind. And even if we get there, we're going to make a bigger goal or a more important goal, or we're going to expand, or we're going to do whatever we need to do to keep us prevalent in the time.
Yeah. Right. That makes sense. That actually really does make sense, because you're right. I've seen quite a few different companies do some rebranding and some restructuring to stay, quote unquote, relevant in the times, and based on the economy and how things shift. And so that's a really great point. And so, like, and this actually made me think of the fact that I do need to be listening to very specific meditations that will remind me that I have the power to shift, that remind me I have the power to create my dreams, that remind me I will be sailing on a boat in the next 12 months, because I've always wanted to go sailing and I've never been on a sailboat in my entire life. And that's silliness. You know what I mean? I need to focus on what I'm excited for and what we're creating, versus letting my brain run away with me and focus on all of my fears. So Miss Megan is going to create me a very amazing meditation that is custom designed for me and for the things I'm excited for. So therefore, when I'm listening to this meditation, I'm not going to hear about backpacking through Pakistan. I get to hear about taking a cruise to Alaska, and I get to hear about going snowboarding with my family because my body is strong and healthy. And so I just want to make sure everybody knows that's a service that Grit and Grow with Megan and Sarah provides. Is Megan is going to record a customized meditation that are focused on your goals, that are focused on your affirmations. I am so excited to feel the difference in myself and to show up in one of these podcasts after listening to the meditation you're going to make for me twice a day for a week. Because I've had that happen before, where I commit to a practice and I'm like, people are like, what's different? Sarah, what's going on with you? What's going on? And I'm like, I'm just awesome. I don't want to tell them that I'm doing this thing differently.
And the thing is that makes it think, changing up the way you look, the way you're doing things can have a huge effect on your mental or your mindset. So creating, changing up little things of the way you do things every day can change up everything in your mindset. So that's something we can work on. How do you feel now compared to how you felt when I first start recording this, when you were talking about your fears?
I'm actually feeling very giddy and very almost like silly, because I'm laughing at myself as I'm like, oh, Doug, or you're focusing on your fear instead of focusing on all the wonderful and the positive. And so it's almost funny, because as we had an unexpected good thing show up in our life today, and it's funny how different that feels in my chest to go from, oh my God, what are we going to do, to, oh, look what we get to do. And if I could have been existing this whole time in this feeling, who I show up as and the fun I have in my life and the things that I get done in my life, that's who I want to be.
So since we're on the topic of fear of success, I want to go over some symptoms of fear of success, which just looking at them, I can tell you, yeah, both of us do this, but it's also a fear of failure. The funny thing is that the symptoms of fear of success and the symptoms of fear of failure are similar. So listen to this. Anxiety and worry, that constant feeling of unease, stress, and achieving success. Procrastination, delaying tasks or avoiding opportunities to progress. Self-sabotage, engaging in behaviors that hinder success, such as making excuses or setting unrealistic goals. Okay. Perfectionism. I hear this from you a lot, and I don't think I don't know if you realize you're doing it. You're like, well, I only have week 1 and 2 done, and I can't launch. I don't know what to do. I don't have it all built out yet. Okay, but we don't need it all built out. You've told me that.
Do as I say, not as I do.
You've told me that. You said, Megan, you have this great thing and we should just go, you should just start selling it. And I'm like, but it's not built out. And you're like, so you build it as you do it.
Yep.
Right. So you keep telling me it's not done yet. I can't do the course until it's done. That's perfectionism. And that keeps you from succeeding or failing, because you never quite fail if you're not done. And you never quite succeed if you're not done.
Yeah. And that's where I've stayed. Like, there's a course that I was working on in 2019. 2018, when I went with the MLSP's mentorship program, there's a course I was working on called Power Branding. And I got so close to completion and I never completed it. And I can remember one time in between, like, workshop 1 and workshop 2, sitting down with Norbert. He's an amazing man. Talking about my course the first time and then talking about my course the next time. He's like, Sarah, the last time I sat down with you, you were 75% completed with this course. You just told me you were about 75% completed with this course. That was 3 months ago. What's going on? And I never completed it.
What was that called? I'm writing that down.
No, this isn't happening.
I think it was Power Branding. Is that it? Okay. I just came up with another course for you to do, Miss Sarah. It's called Power Branding. I know you've never heard of that before, but I'm really sure you can do it. I'm positive you can do it.
I guess it's my turn.
So the next one is imposter syndrome.
That's so funny. How many times have I said lately that I feel like a fraud?
Yep. So imposter syndrome. Then there's physical symptoms, which manifest as anxiety, sweating, rapid heartbeat, and difficulty breathing. Have you had any of those?
All but the last one. I think I'm breathing fine.
Okay.
Remember earlier when I went like this, I'm all sweaty and my heart was all weird. And I'm like,
Okay, so
my cortisol is high.
Some tips and tricks for overcoming fear of success. Identify and challenge
CBD.
Negative beliefs. So this goes back to your homework I gave you the other day. Right?
I didn't do.
That you haven't done yet.
Do.
I'm calling you out right here on the podcast. You have not done them. So that's something that's called identifying and challenging your negative thoughts. So we can start, if you can write some down as you feel them, we'll start reframing them for you. And we can even do it right here live on the podcast. And so people can see how you reframe a negative thought. Set achievable goals.
All right.
And practice.
I never make achievable goals. I always make them bananas, crazy, stupid.
I make them too small. I make them too small. I have all this ideas in my mind, right? Of what thing we were talking about, what I want to do with the future and stuff like that. But I make my goals so small that I'm like, it's not even worth doing that one. You know, like it's that small. So that's how I self-sabotage. So set achievable goals, but you want them achievable, but you want them to stretch you a little bit. You don't want them to keep you in the comfort zone you're in. You want them to challenge you, but you want them achievable. Practice self-compassion. I don't know how many times I've said that. Practice self-compassion. Seek support. Again, family, friends, therapists, coaches, counselors, to sharing your feelings and can provide validation and relief. So by sharing your fears, sometimes can create relief that you've shared them. And then I'm not telling you you're wrong with your fears. I'm saying, okay, you're right, but how can we reframe that to look at it differently so it doesn't put you into a freeze mode, because that's what you get into, is freeze mode, where you don't do anything. And then you really feel like you're doing the whole self-sabotage and the imposter syndrome, because now you're frozen in place. So I'm not saying your feelings of fear are completely valid, but can we reframe them so they don't freeze you any longer? Embrace challenges. View challenges as opportunities. So I'm challenging you to things now. I'm going to challenge you. Challenged. You're challenged for growth and learning. And embrace the discomfort and stepping outside your comfort zone. Your comfort zone right now is what I call the uncomfortable comfort zone. And that is, you're not happy where you're at. You're not happy financially. You're not happy with the way things are right this moment. But you're comfortable in that zone. You're uncomfortable there, but you're comfortable because you're afraid of going beyond it. Yes.
I'm addicted to suffering.
Yes.
I'm addicted to suffering. So years and years ago, I started attending meetings for, it was called, I think OA, Overeaters Anonymous. So I've never been addicted to alcohol or any other substance, but I struggle with binge eating. And so I went to those classes for a while, and that's when you really have to acknowledge that you are powerless over this addiction. And that first step took me 6 months, because admitting the powerlessness, it being that took me the longest, because I want to stand firm and no, I'm not powerless. I can do all of these things. But those are things you can do. This one, you are powerless here.
The thing is admitting that you're admitting to an issue, or admitting to a fault, or admitting to a fear. That's part of the battle. So admitting to it, and then we just need to work on changing that. So then we have the practice mindfulness, and then visualize success,
which is for me the meditation.
I asked you before we got on here, what kind of specific meditations would you like?
I know, and I think during this podcast we were able to figure it out, because before we did the podcast I was like, I didn't even, what were we talking about? I don't know. And that was me reverting back to what's comfortable, which is the frozen and the confusion. I don't know. I have no value. What are we talking about? What are we doing? And that's my go-to versus, hang on, let me check my notes. We talked about it. It was this thing here. And now we have this podcast to hold us accountable to. It's this thing here that we decided. Remember, go back and listen. This is what we're going to create it for. And, I'm really calling myself out. I've started to listen to our podcasts now as I'm doing the dishes, as I'm folding laundry. I like to have something on. And one of the things I became aware of, ways I was self-sabotaging, is typically when I do dishes, I watch some kind of crime show, some investigative show. Those are the ones that I like on my Facebook watch, that I like to watch. And so I really challenged myself at the beginning of this week. And I was like, why are you doing that when you and Megan are creating these amazing podcasts that are providing you with tools, and you're using your own personal examples of how you're overcoming things? Why aren't you plugging into that and remembering your own value and her value and this amazing business you're creating, instead of listening to a crime show? And so we have some powerful content. We are really transformative. We really know our stuff. And I say that because I've been listening.
I got a rundown of all of them, a little bit of time on each one of them yesterday when I was uploading them into the new YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, we covered that. Okay. Oh yeah, and each we not only did I listen in the beginning, but I listened to a little bit throughout it, and I was like, oh yeah, we said that. Yeah, we said that. Oh yeah. So it's kind of funny to listen to it because it's like these are things I know we talked about, but they don't stick in my head afterwards. Like we specifically said we're gonna do, So I got to get better at that. I got to go back and
Yep.
listen to them.
And that's what I think that this is about right now, and why our next one is going to be on procrastination, because we've called ourselves out, and now let's break through that. And the next podcast, talk about what it took to break through that and the results that we got from breaking through that, because that is what this podcast is about. It's about gritting down and getting through it and getting into that other side of growth. And I know we can do it, especially because we're supporting each other. I think we need to be specific about the result we want to create and the actions we're going to take and get down to it. You can do it. Put your back into it. Sorry, I just told everybody how old I am. No, your Madonna and Cyndi Lauper thing told everybody how old we are.
Hey, I'm older than you, so and it is what it is. I have my age. I have a
more
lot of
kids than you.
experience with that age. A lot of experience with that age.
This has been a fabulous podcast. We had a lot of fun. I was very vulnerable. I appreciate this space so much. I'm excited to start to invite guests on to get some free coaching. I showed up today dealing with my fear of success, and I am going from being afraid to feeling like I have an action plan and I know what I'm doing to create my next success. And that's what I want for you,
And I'm
listener.
going to hold you accountable to that as we get through each of the things that you have said is holding you back. I'm going to be like, okay, it's not holding you back anymore. Let's go.
Knock it out of the park.
Okay, so this was a impromptu podcast on fear of success, and we love doing this to ourselves. We just press record once in a while, but we love sharing our information with you guys, and we love giving you guys that support of understanding where some of your fears are coming from and some of your barriers and your blocks are coming from that are keeping you from being the best you can be. And whether that's success in business, that's success in relationships, that's success in anything, these are blocks and barriers that can keep you from achieving that best version of you that you can possibly achieve by holding you back from that. So let's I would love to have any one of you, all of you, email me or Miss Sarah. We'll put our emails in. If you want to be on here and share one of your self-sabotage stories, or one of you're feeling one of these fears or one of these problems that we've gone over, and you really want help learning to reframe it, to understand it and move past it so you can become the better version of yourself. This has been a great podcast, Sarah. You did not expect me to just press record, and I apologize, but we do it all the time. So I was like, that's it. I'm just going to press record. But I appreciate you going along with it and kind of still going with it, because I think that it gives people a really good idea of how we do work behind the scenes with each other. I do this a lot with you where we go through something and I try to challenge what you're saying and try to create, a different way of looking at it. And they get to see that now, that this is how I coach. This is what I do. I challenge your thoughts, and I give you tools to challenge your own thoughts to help you get to a better place.
Reframing is a really powerful tool, and it's just one of the many that you have provided and that you teach us how to use to create what we want.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's listening, and hopefully you guys will let us know, even put in the comments below, and we'll contact you about coming on the show and giving us your story. We'd love to hear it.
Mama said